season garden. So you're going to be noticing some things that might upset you this time of year. We are into early September, and this is the time of year when fungus like powdery mildew really starts to come in pretty strong. So you'll start noticing powdery mildew here and there, especially on like your squash and your pumpkin plants. It's pretty normal, and you'll also start seeing a lot of your vines dying back. Cucumbers and some of your squash plants, some of your spent bean plants will start dying back. It's perfectly normal. Don't be afraid that there's something wrong with them. They only go on for so long. They'll stop fruiting and they'll start dying back. So like I just had my cucumbers right here in this row, and they were starting to die back, get powdery mildew. So I pulled them all out. They're finished, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I have so many jars of pickles and relish and also some tzatziki sauce in my freezer, so we're good on cucumbers. I also pulled out the broccoli plants that were right there and we're done. So now I have plenty of space right here to probably put the garlic in this coming fall. So I'll refeed the ground, I'll put some more compost, get all of these weeds tore back out, and we'll get this area ready for garlic. Peppers are still going strong. There's a little watermelon right here on the ground that fell off the vine, so I have to get rid of that. I don't let things sit here and rot in my garden. So my peppers are doing well. I've just been leaving them on the vine, waiting for them to turn red because I'm really not a fan of green peppers. I prefer them sweet and red. So we're just waiting on the ripening, and they're coming along pretty good. So excited to see that. I have, I don't know, I think there's like 5 or 6 plants, and they're all starting to turn red. I have a few jalapenos there that it looks like I'm going to need to bring in soon. So I made some salsa yesterday, brought in tons of tomatoes. I brought in a butternut squash, a bunch of tomatillas, and I can show you guys how to make tomatilla green salsa if you like. Let me know. I just roast the tomatillas and make the salsa, and it's so easy and it's so good. But we still have tomatoes ripening up in here, plenty that are still green, that'll be waiting to come in. The tomato plants are just starting to look a little bit of a mess. They're overgrown. And this is just how it starts getting this time of year. Everything gets messy, it starts getting spent off. There's a lot to keep cleaned up as you're going. So I have succession planting going on in these couple of rows. I have carrots to thin out, weeds to pull. The corn is all finished up and drying, so we're going to save some of that for some Halloween decorations. And so there's things to still do out here in the garden. Because of succession planting, I'm going to have carrots to thin out and these peas that I need to prop up and get going. So they're all up and growing. They're going to need some support. Tomato plants, anything that's dying back, like what's over there in that corner right there, I'm going to need to get the tomatoes off of them and get them cleaned up and pulled out of the ground if they're starting to die back. The pumpkins were getting squash beetles really badly, so I cut those all back, left the one vine for this pumpkin intact, but you can see the leaves are not in the greatest shape because they just got attacked really badly by squash beetles. We did get a couple pumpkins out of it, and then I just pulled it. And tomatillas are starting to look withering, they're starting to wither, and that's all okay. I'm going to get all of my fruits off of them, and then they're going to be ready to be pulled out and keep the bed cleaned up. In the boxes, everything is still doing just fine. Sweet potatoes are growing, the beets are growing. I have carrots here to be checking on. Our lima beans that were succession planted, are doing really good. These guys are getting ready to flower. So these are all fresh and we're just waiting for those to make their beans. We have more beets in here that are all fresh. This is going to be like a fourth crop of beets for the year. And I cut the sunflowers all back. So now it's just a matter of what I want to clean up, what I want to get rid of, what I need to clear, and then kind of refeed the ground, get some compost into the ground. And you know, it's still a busy time of year because once I start pulling things, I want to prepare the ground for next year. We're also going to be extending the garden and making it wider, so we have to remove grass here. So when we do that, we'll be renting a sod remover, taking out another square of dirt here. And I think I want to take it around my little fire pit right there and bring the cornfield out that way next year and make that bigger. So there's a lot we're going to be doing through the year. I'll show you what we do to remove sod, how I feed the ground, and yeah, there's still a lot ahead of us. So it may be September, but there's still garden work to do. There's still planning to do, and there's still succession crops to plant and harvest yet. So we're going to stay busy a little while longer yet.